Hey YouTube guys and YouTube gals, it's me, your old buddy Magnum over at Guns and Cars. That's with 2 Z's if you please. The following story is true. And I know it's true because I was there. None of the events that you're about to hear have been fabricated or exaggerated. What I'm going to tell you is exactly the way it happened. So stick around. Glad you stuck around. Let's hop into the Wayback Machine and go back to July of 1966. That was the summer between my junior and senior years in high school. That particular evening, a few of my high school friends and I decided to visit the old Kansas City Tuberculosis Hospital. Now, this facility had been built back in the 40s by the prisoners at Leeds, which was like a work farm. It was built to house the victims of tuberculosis, which was fairly prevalent back then. But as it turned out, it was actually more of a prison than a healthcare facility because TB was a very contagious disease, and the doctors who treated it didn't really want tuberculosis patients in the regular hospitals where it could be spread among the other patients. So, unfortunately, once a patient was admitted, they pretty much remained there until they were buried in the adjoining cemetery. Fortunately, tuberculosis had been brought under control a few years before our visit that evening by the use of streptomycin, and the hospital had been closed down for some time. And even though it was quite deteriorated, the shell of the building was still standing. It was a dark and cloudy night, and there was no moon. Fortunately, a few of us had brought flashlights. After turning off of Raytown Road and driving up the hill on the long gravel driveway, we parked on what used to be the parking lot and started walking toward the building. Even in the dark, it was easy to see that all of the windows had been broken out. We found a window that was low enough for us to climb through, and within a few minutes we were inside exploring the vacant halls. Our flashlights illuminated the empty rooms, and we peered inside each one as we passed. It became quickly apparent that this building had been abandoned in a rush. Most of the furniture and equipment, including the beds and the linens, had just been left behind. It was a little shocking to see overturned wheelchairs just strewn haphazardly here and there. We also saw some huge pieces of equipment that looked like iron lungs. They were just standing silently in the hall like big beached whales. They were very massive. In some of the patient rooms, there were framed photographs still remaining on the walls, most at an angle. And in one of the rooms, I noticed a photo on the floor, and I picked it up for a closer look. It was an 8x10 glossy photograph of an attractive young nurse decked out in her white uniform. At the bottom were the handwritten words, "Wishing you the best," and it was signed Diane. The aspect of this photograph that was kind of shocking was that someone had taken a red marker and drawn slash marks on Diane's face and a knife handle sticking out of her chest with the word bitch written in large red capital letters at the bottom. The further we explored, the more desolate and depressing it became, and at the end of one long hallway we arrived at a stairway with one set of steps leading up and the other leading down. We decided to take the descending stairs and walk down to the bottom to a metal door. When we opened this door, another long hallway stretched out ahead of us. There were no doors leading off this hallway, but a set of double doors was visible at the far end. A short walk later, we opened the double doors to reveal a small room with stone walls and no windows. There was a stainless steel table that looked like an operating table in the center of this room with either bloody or rusting instruments scattered all over it. The most troubling aspect of this room was the horrendous stench that filled it. On the far wall there was a big metal sink with a rusting faucet, and the smell became stronger the closer we got to this sink. When I arrived and shined my flashlight into it, it illuminated a large mass that looked kind of like a human leg. It was bloody and rotting, and that's where the smell was coming from. As I looked at it, I thought I saw it moving, and when I moved my flashlight closer, I saw that it actually was moving. But it wasn't the meat itself that was moving, it was a gigantic mass of white maggots that were feasting on this mass of meat, whatever it was. And it was about that time that we decided to leave. We never found out whether the meat in the sink was the remains of some poor soul, or if it was a practical joke that some of the Van Horn or the Raytown High School hoods had decided to pull to scare some unsuspecting students from William Chrisman. We'll never know. But even after all these years, I still remember that evening quite vividly. And that's the story. So until I speak with you again, and even after that, you stay safe.